I'd just like to introduce Amanda Foster, Liz Beach and Hilary Scales from Northumbria University, who are going to be talking through their presentation on inspiring and engaging academics with reading lists. Over to yourselves, ladies, and just let me know when you want me to change your slides over.
Okay, thank you, Emma, and thank you, everybody. Okay, so yes, Emma, you can move on to the slides. So a little bit of background. We are quite a large university. We have 32,000 students. We have 3,000 members of staff, and we have 4 faculties across 2 campuses. And we're also based in Britain's best university city, Newcastle upon Tyne. Okay, on to the next slide. The University Library is part of Student and Library Services, and we have 3 sites across 2 campuses. We're open 24/7 and we hold the Customer Service Excellence Award. In terms of our library structure, we have 2 divisions, which are Library Collection and Digital Services and Library Learning and Research Services. And we are, the reading list team is part of the former, we're part of Library Collection and Digital Services. And we also have a functional structure here, so we don't have subject librarians any longer. Okay, moving on. So in 2013, the decision was made to create a new kind of reading list service. So this was going from the previous paper-based system. It was focused on student experience and feedback from students and what was discovered as being important to them. And obviously it was also aligned with the university strategy, KPIs and support across the university. The project was going to be from design to delivery, an integrated and comprehensive approach. It was based on people, I would say, so on students and on faculty feedback, and a new reading list team was created around this to deliver this service. We did pilots in 2013-14 and then launched it university-wide in 2014-15, and it's now embedded as part of the approvals process of the programme framework for Northumbria Awards. Pass you on to Hilary.
No, please. Next one. Right. So advocacy and engagement with the faculty was the key to success and the hardest nut to crack. A multifaceted approach was taken, starting at the highest university level, and through this we won support from key university contacts. We asked for academic volunteers to become champions of the service. We gave these early adopters additional support by creating their lists. This also benefited the new team as it allowed them hands-on experience of using the system. We used various methods of promotion and communication, such as group demos and presentations at key university events. All of this approach created a snowball effect by positive word of mouth and power of list envy by both academics and students. As Amanda mentioned, the university is currently within a process of rewriting its programs and modules and has embedded online reading lists into its design. Therefore, online reading lists are now mandatory. Can select the next slide, please. So this brand new team was created following a university-wide restructure to become responsible for the end-to-end online reading list procedure, including reviewing reading lists, ordering required resources, checking links, liaison with the copyright team, receipting print and ebooks, and creating digitizations. We've been told we're quite unique in actually doing all the processes within one team, but I'm not sure about that. The team members also carry out one-to-one training with the academics. We've found that the academics prefer this approach, and we build up a good relationship with the academics through this process. Initially, we had a daily team scrum so that everybody knew what was happening, and had input into the design of the work in the team. We now find that we only need to scrum twice a week, but find that it is important to maintain this regular discussion. As we found that information was constantly changing at the beginning, we decided to use OneNote to provide information and instructions. It was used both for TARL and TADSI, as there was no notes facility within the service, and we had various team methods doing the same thing. An access database was created by one of the team to record reviews, demos, web forms, etc. This replaced an unmanageable large spreadsheet we were using at the time. Next slide, please.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to go into a bit more detail about what we actually provide to our academics. As previously mentioned, we offer training at the point of request following receipt of a web form from an academic trying to gain access to a particular module, and arrange a date and a time convenient to them to meet with them to start the training. One of our group of team experts will communicate directly with them to confirm a meeting at their desk. At the actual demo, we explain initially what can be achieved through the online reading lists and the benefits of it. As we are the only ones who have direct contact with academics, we were asked to go through useful resources that were available on the library website. And at first I thought everybody would know, but actually through experience now, we discovered it was a really useful thing to go ahead and do because academics hadn't realised that some of the things were there. We cover databases, subject resources, useful tips for searching the collection, and generally explore what is available. During the demo, we help academics to set up their desktops to work with the service and look at existing good practice lists. We explore options regarding structures that can be created within the list, such as week, by topic, or a traditional reading list, depending on what they think is suitable for their students. We then will help them to begin to create and populate the list, showing them how to use it. And this can take anything from half an hour to 2.5 hours, depending on the academic's IT technical knowledge. As well as one-to-one, we have help group demos where I may go along and give the initial talk for 20 minutes, an introductory talk telling them about it, and then the other team members will join the session and will split off and train individual academics at their desks as we have previously. Can we have the next screen, please? On this graph, it shows the demos that have been done over the last 4 years. We've carried out over 1,000 demos in that time, and this shows quite clearly the peaks and troughs. As you can see, most of the demos take place during the quieter summer months. Can you go to the next screen, please? You'll probably be familiar with the challenges shown on this slide. We try to arm our demo team with strategies to try to engage with the academics so that the challenges don't become too much of a stumbling block. And it can be quite rewarding to turn someone's opinions completely around and find them suddenly engaging with enthusiasm, and we've found that frequently happens. We try to encourage them by using our top selling points, but find that number 6, saying that it's the primary mechanism for ordering materials, is the most frequent hook to the service. I'll pass you on to Amanda. Next slide, please.
So this looks very busy, but it's actually our reading list dashboard, and it's something that we were asked to design, a purpose-built dashboard which would show our impact and also add meaning to our many statistics and ultimately tell a story. It draws together all the statistics from various sources, which include Google Analytics and also the reports we get from Talis Aspire and obviously from the database. It was set up by a member of the team, Rebecca, and Rebecca is actually going to be doing a session at Talis Insight about this dashboard because we realised that it was a very good tool. It's used in many exec meetings, university-wide. Next slide, please, Emma. Thanks.
Hi. Here are a few examples of positive feedback from our academics. We often receive good comments after someone's delivered a one-to-one demo as well. Our staff are very experienced now and can adjust the training to the needs of the individual academic. It's always nice to get really good feedback. Next slide, please.
Well, thank you for listening. I'm sorry there was the delay at the beginning. Those are our contact details on the screen there. We're more than happy to answer any questions either now or if you would like to email us in the future and see if we can be of any help and see if there's any of our information that we have can be of use to you.
Thank you, Amanda, Elizabeth and Hilary. Really interesting to hear your presentation and the array of different strategies that I could see that you've used over the time to increase engagement with the results that you've shown there as well. Just like to open the floor up, so to speak. So if anyone does have any questions today for any of the team at Northumbria, we have got the question box here on the webinar software. If you wanted to pop a question in there, I can ask them now. Alternatively, we have got their email address there as well, which you've kindly shared. Thank you. Okay, so just got a question from Sean. What percentage of your academics are actively using the system now?
We think it's around 80%. And that's a very recent figure that our head of library services came to just last month, I think. So we think it's around 80% of academics. Of course, it helped that it was the reading list service has been added to the module approval process. So ultimately, they really have to do a reading list now.
Right, and did you see a big difference in that when that came in?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
yes.
we did.
Yeah. As the modules were being rewritten, I think they just had to do it. It was part of the process. Yeah,
and I guess did you see the impact then on the increase of training requests that you were having when it became mandated? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
A couple of more questions. Janet asks, how do you cope in the long term with poor IT skills by academics? You did mention earlier, didn't you, that some sessions can be like a couple of hours, whereas others are shorter. So how do you manage like that long term?
Well, we will go back. Often they'll ring us up. Like any piece of software, if you don't use it all the time, you forget. And it's the same for all of us, no matter what we're using. And we are more than happy for people to ring us. Our team are very proficient at talking staff through things. We try very hard not to make people feel as if they're not very good at things. We are very encouraging. We're very much a hand-holding service. And that was the ploy right from the very beginning. We would be supportive and we will help them as much as we can. We do have our IT helpline and we do refer them on to them should there be things that we can't help with.
Okay, brilliant. So they're like a partnership really, that they can help with the IT skills to get them to a point to support your training as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Max has asked, how do you persuade lecturers that Talis online lists are different and better than just using the virtual learning environment?
Well, I attended a Talis conference probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think it was at Leicester University, and there were 2 academics talking there, and they both said that they at that point had they'd been using it for a couple of years and they had anecdotal evidence to say their students were doing more reading around their subject than they had before. And we are getting that feedback back from the academics who have engaged. And so we sort of tell them stories, things that we've experienced. There was something else I had heard about Tang, I think it was, who said that students responded more to a reading list that was an activity rather than a situation. And often if you show a good reading list and the sort of things that can be achieved, and it's explaining to them what they can do with it, how it can match the module guide, and all of a sudden, sometimes you just see a light go off in them, and they suddenly realise that it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, and it is about those those stories as well, isn't it? So it's not just coming from yourself, so you're sharing that experience from what other academics have said, so it's that mixed message. Thank you. A question from David: how are academics encouraged to structure their lists in a particular way? So do you guide that they have to do it under week by week or under certain headings, or are academics quite free to structure it to how they want to?
Academics are quite free to structure it the way they want to, but we do show them good practice lists, and we do tell them that the students have a better experience, which are proved through various questionnaires that they complete, that they prefer a week-to-week or topic-by-topic rather than a straightforward list.
Yeah, and I think our humanities department, they engaged with us first, and humanities, of course, traditionally have huge lists.
Yeah.
And then they were able to break them down into more usable chunks by making them week by week. But I think actually even they now are realising that they put far too much in, and they're pulling them back, the amount of things that are in their list back now,
Right.
so that the students are not overwhelmed with things. But of course, when you talk to the academics, some of the scientific modules, some of the science modules don't lend themselves particularly to a week-by-week list. So through experience from going to see them, you get to know the sorts of lists that you can do for the different subjects. So often the science ones will be by headings rather than week by week. But if they've got a module guide, it's quite easy for them to transfer the information that's in the module guide into a reading list week by week. So it very much is talking to the academic and helping them to create the list that they think is best for their students.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, thank you for that. So matching it to how they've structured their module guides, so they're not doing anything different.
Yeah.
You mentioned there that you found your humanities lecturers were sort of skimming down their list, like reducing them, which just leads on to a question that Janet has asked. Do you restrict academics on the number of items they include on a list?
No, we don't. We did think about it at the beginning, but we've never actually set a limit. I think the longest one's about 600, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we use importances within the lists. So they have to allocate themselves whether things are essential, recommended or further. And then when they come into review to us, we have a set of business rules that our team buys to, starting at the highest level of essential and going down to further reading. So we use that to tell us how many copies we're buying.
Okay, brilliant. So if they're setting their importances, and then you use the ratio against those to help with your purchasing. So Rob just wanted to clarify, so your acquisitions team, is that all within your team for reading lists?
Yes, it's part of the reading list team, yeah.
Yeah, okay, lovely, thank you. It's great to see the community really engaging. We've just got a few more questions if you're okay to answer them.
Yeah, of course.
It's really interesting just to see what's coming in. Stuart's asked, do academics do all of their list updates?
Yes.
Yeah, they do. They own them all.
Yeah, we often will say to them, if you've forgotten how to do it, just let us know and we'll come and give you a refresher training session, which we do on a regular basis.
Yeah, and
we did get some feedback a couple of months ago saying it was the best training session that the academic had in the 10 years he'd been at the university.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, wow. Well done. How much you've done. It's a credit to you. Stuart, on your second question on that, are they using the new list editor now? The new list editor is just under development, so there isn't anyone on the new list edit. It's the new student view that's been phased out at the moment. Question from Caroline: do academics submit digitisation requests from their reading list, or do they add a library note to request their extracts to be digitised?
A bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
We do encourage them to do them from the reading list, but sometimes in reviews they do put requests in, and we just automatically digitise things. Sometimes if they put notes on saying read chapter 1, to the student in the notes field, but have never put anything to us. We just automatically digitise it anyway.
Okay, great, because you've seen that it's a chapter. So do Christian just asked, do you keep a track if lists are being kept up to date? So do you monitor if lists are being kept up to date by academics?
We don't at the moment. We have just been concentrating on getting the lists up and running.
Yeah.
But we know that is something we need to do. To review, not just carry out a review of the list when it's been requested, but to review all of our lists and see if they're still current.
Yeah, but like you're saying, it's about the academics owning those lists to start with and getting to grips with using the system, from what I've drawn from your presentation.
We expect the academics to keep their own lists up to date, but we know that they don't always do that.
I mean, when we'd come to rollover, we do email them and say, could you just check your list? And if there's anything you want to remove, such as digitisations that you don't need for next year, do so within the next 2 weeks or something like that. And some of them do sort of engage at that point.
Yeah. Okay. It's been so interesting to hear your presentation and to see, and thank you for your time on the questions that have come through as well. A question from Martin is, do academics use the review process? But I'm gathering that, do you use reviews in terms of your own team to review the lists?
Yeah, the academics request reviews from their reading lists, yes.
Yeah. So they'll, so if they make a change, they'll request a review to go through to yourselves. Okay, lovely.
Sometimes we end up putting lists through up to review ourselves if we see that somebody's done something and they haven't sent it for review. Yeah,
so you can push that through, so it goes to that process, so you can do the review that side. Just want to thank you again. Thanks everyone for bearing with us, and I'm really glad that we hung on, because it's been such a valuable presentation, and one that I'm sure that we'll be referring to. So I'd just like to thank Amanda, Elizabeth and Hilary again for presenting for us today and answering those questions. I will make the recording available as well if you wanted to share that. And thank you all for attending and for your interesting questions as well. And that concludes our webinar. Thank you.